evening. Welcome to the conversation on TOS Television Network. And it's Friday. The week has finally come to a close. I am Ade Stowelsi.
And I am Merciful Ajinamo. Thank God it's Friday.
Okay, thank God it's Friday. What's your plan for the weekend? I know people always say that, Friday is the day you plan for a new week. And I'm like, no. What's your plan for the weekend?
So I do not have any plans. I'm open to your plan.
Oh, that's amazing. All right, before we kickstart the show proper, allow us bring you the quote of the day. Yes, Roy Bennett there, encouraging you to be a positive thinker. Fill your mind with so much positivity that you don't even notice any negativity around you. But what do you think about that one, Merciful?
I think it's just to, keep your mind positive at all times. Just be optimistic about everything and feed your mind with positive thoughts. Even if things are not going the right direction, just be positive and focus in the right direction, and things will come to change to the positive.
Are you a positive thinker, or
I think I am. I am. I'm more of an optimist because most of the times, especially when we come on the show like this, we see things happening.
Yes.
But every day we come back to the show looking very handsome and beautiful. And something's going to change something. We'll get to the show one day and we'll start reading good news,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
All right. Having said all of that, we're going to go on a break now. When we come back, we're going to be taking you through, developments across Africa.
TOS TV Network mobile app is now available. You can now catch up on our breaking news, stream our programs live, watch out for the latest update on sports and politics as they unfold. You can also get notifications for our upcoming programs and events. All these on our TOS TV Network mobile app, available on Apple Store and Google Play Store. TOS TV News from Africa by Africans.
Being a journalist means in-depth analysis that unravels hidden truths, that question the status quo and fact-checks government.
These criminal elements hiding under the cloak of surveillance contractors are the APC elements.
Do you have facts to prove that? Being a journalist means waking up every day with a burning desire for peace, equity, and justice for all citizens.
We're being told that the choice you have is to take the lesser of two evils.
It means patriotism via the prism of objectivity and accountability. It means giving my platform to the masses to discuss issues that matter to them.
Some of them, if they bring budget, and the budget they lose. Some they sleep. They're going to ask how much you are on. I have it.
Thereby shaping government policies and laws. My name is Usasu Ignaja, and I am the People's Journalist.
Welcome back. Now we'll take you straight into, stories and happenings from across the African continent, starting from here in Nigeria and, from stories around the Borno State Governor, Babangana Zulum, who has said, military interventions cannot curb the insecurity situation that Nigeria is faced with at this point. Governor Zulum said this on Thursday in a lecture he delivered on security and economic growth at the public presentation of a book by former Director General of NIMASA, Dakuku Peterside, with the title Strategic Turnaround. The governor, who used the opportunity to blame poor handling of the Boko Haram insurgency in his early years and corruption of government officials for the insecurity, also urged the All Progressive Congress, that's the APC, not to renege previous agreements made to allow the southern part to produce president in 2023. The mistake Nigeria made that has led to the banditry in the country is ignoring poor countries around us. If Nigeria had emulated some European country and empowered their poorer neighbors, the situation would have been mitigated, he stated. Do you agree with that? Although I agree with the part where he said, the poor handling of the Boko Haram insurgency at the initial stage has seen, it expand to this point. If something had been done, to curb it in like when it was started to brew and everything, maybe we would not have seen, you know, all of the offshoots and everything that we're seeing now. But the part where he said that Nigeria ignored, you know, neighboring countries, poor neighboring countries, and that's why we're having all of this right now. Do you agree with that part?
I totally, you know, I'm open to people's different opinions on these things because, you know, we have had different strategies and tactics and it looks like nothing is working. So if someone says, yeah, the military cannot curb or whatever, I'm like, you may have your reasons here.
Yeah,
so
of course,
I cannot totally agree on someone's opinion. I'm just open to anything. If you feel this is what has been the cause, then I think we should find a solution. Yeah, and what should be the solution if this is the cause? So I just want everything to just, you know, be solved.
Solution, no, like
Not even problems or anything. I don't really care at this point of what has been the cause. If you think this has been the cause, you're the governor of the state, do something about it.
Okay, yeah. So it's basically, it's what it is now, we can see it. It's insecurity situation in Nigeria has skyrocketed. What do we have to do about it?
True.
That should be what it is.
Yes,
right now.
that should be what we talk
right.
about. Yeah, moving on, we go to Morocco, where the Bureau of Judicial Investigation dismantled today a 4-man bear terrorist group cell in Uja in the country's oriental region. The IC suspects are aged between 24 and 28 and were active in the city, a statement from the BCIJ said. The operation is part of Morocco's efforts to combat ISIS, terrorism and extremism that is seeking to undermine the country's security, the statement added. As a result of the raid, Morocco's security services aborted the cell's imminent plot in collaboration with Morocco's General Directorate of National Security and the U.S. intelligence. The collaboration reflects the importance of international collaboration against terrorist threats and emphasizes the effectiveness of such security partnerships against radicalism and extremism. And the statement said BCIJ staff carried out the raid in simultaneous security operations in 4 different residential neighborhoods in the city of Uja. During the operation, the members of the special force affiliated with the DGST had to fire sound bombs to neutralize the danger of the main suspect and the second suspect who tried to escape across the roofs of neighboring houses. You see that people are, you know, militant, militias, you know, rebellion groups are like stepping up, you know, their efforts, they're stepping up their games, working in different places simultaneously. That is to show that if they're like 4-step, I mean, bringing it back to the issue of insecurity in Nigeria, if the kidnappers, the bad people, the bandits, are like 4 steps ahead, we should be 8 steps ahead.
Yeah, they shouldn't even see us coming. That should be what it is.
That's the point, because I imagine a planned work, you know, to work in 4 different simultaneous locations, you know, doing things at the same time. I mean, that shows that we need more intelligence in the intelligence unit.
They're planning strategically. They're just carrying out attack. Like it goes to show that there's lots of planning that goes into all of this, and also we should also emulate that, and you know, have lots of strategic plans, you know, to combat all of that. All right, moving over to, you know, South Sudan, where in an effort to, you know, ensure or encourage you know, more children in school and curb the number of out-of-school children, about 1.12 million textbooks were handed over to school leaders in Juba on Wednesday. In a press statement, the children's charity said the textbooks will play a vital role in the teaching and learning process that gives every child the best possible opportunity for education in South Sudan. The program, led by the Save the Children in partnership with Norwegian Refugee Council, Finn Church Aid, and the Ministry of General Education and Instruction, and funded by the Education Cannot Wait initiative, is one of the most wide-reaching education resourcing initiatives in South Sudan. The statement quotes Rama Hansraj, the country director of Save the Children in South Sudan, as saying many children are not learning in South Sudan, and one of the factors is that both learners and teachers do not have access to adequate reference materials, guides or textbooks that they need to effectively facilitate quality teaching and learning. We believe that this 1.12 million textbooks will reduce the high pupil textbook ratio, thereby allowing more children to get access to textbooks. I mean, if they cannot have, you know, children in school, maybe in classroom, actually, you know, being taught in a normal, formal educational setting, it's okay to actually just have these books across to them and have, you know, them learn probably on their own or at home, or have, you know, teachers, you know, teach them. And I think it's quite encouraging, because I know, you know, South Sudan has been hit by, you know, various crises and disaster, in time past. And I think that has, further increased the number of out of school children that the country has. And having to see, like one of the partners of this initiative, education cannot wait, for real. Education really cannot wait. So you have to just, exactly. So you have to just, as it goes, just make do with what you have and just ensure that, these children continue learning.
Nigeria should take a cue from that as well. We've always spoken about the number of out of school children in the northern part of Nigeria. So we should look for more innovative ways to ensure the kids keep learning, that they keep learning,
even if they cannot be in a classroom.
Yes. So we can leverage on remote learning, and it's to an extent it's quite expensive. So like these textbooks now, if the guardians and parents can encourage the wards and children to stay learning in the process home. And get books with them, I think it's actually a way. So people do not just stay away from schooling and education.
Like education continues
because, like you said, the learning, it cannot stop.
It cannot wait. So even while we're trying to make sure that the state or the region is safe enough for people to go back to the classroom, that's for both teachers and pupils. We still have a way to ensure that they keep learning pending the time when all of that will happen.
All right, we move on to the next story. And the Nigerian Export Promotion Council, that's the NEPC, has announced the launch of a 5 billion naira export trade palliative for exporters in Nigeria, known as the Export Development Fund, EDF. This was disclosed by Peter Njoku, the Assistant Director, Export Development and Incentives Department of the Council, on Wednesday in Enugu, where he said that the EDF was launched over 30 years ago and recently reactivated by the federal government. He urged SMEs and exporters from the southeast to take part in government palliative schemes for businesses, citing that only a small number of southeast exporters benefited from a recent export development grant. And he said, from the records, it is obvious that people from the southeast do not usually come out to be part of this type of thing. And he also said almost every intending exporter is qualified to access the fund. The requirements are not stringent to potential exporters.
That's quite impressive, and I think this is maybe to encourage, more production in the country to have enough to be exported. I mean, if you have, funds and all of that stuff, you can begin to do things on a larger scale, on a bigger scale than you were doing before, and so we would have more, commodities and goods and whatever.
We spoke about Nigerians being over consumers.
Exactly. We're looking and I know how personally you took that.
We should place more emphasis on exporting, so because to a large extent, it tells good on our economy. Because if we're importing more than we're exporting, it shows that we're not encouraging the made in Nigeria product. But if we're exporting more and focus on quality of the products and goods we're exporting, then we can now even love, because for someone to buy our stuff, it means our stuff is good.
Good, yeah.
Right? So the more we export, the more our manufacturers, our producers, come up with good and better products.
Exactly. And talking about manufacturing, and I think, the palliative and the loan from the federal government is just going to help us to have more manufacturing, because we cannot be exporting if we don't have enough, to consume here in the country already.
True.
So we have to produce enough for us first before we now start thinking of, having to export. Because if we produce and export and we don't have enough, there's going to be a deficit, imbalance, right? So there has to be balance. And I think all of this, the palliative, the fund and everything is going to ensure that, look, there's enough to be consumed, we manufacture enough to be consumed here, and then we have enough, to export as well. And that's quite, brilliant.
True.
All right, that's the much we can take on the Development Across Africa segment. We're going to go on a break, and when we come back, on that break, we're going to bring you a COVID-19 update, and after that, we're going to be bringing you, newspaper headlines for this morning. Yes, you can be a part of the conversation. Just follow TOS TV Network across all social media platforms. That's TOS TV Network on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And also check out our website at www.tostvnetwork.com. All right, moving straight into newspaper headlines for this morning, starting with the Blueprint newspaper. And I'm going to be starting from the very top. And the first one is of the President Muhammad Buhari, and it says new $1.3 billion fertilizer plant ready in months, and that's coming from President Muhammad Buhari. And it says facility to complement Dangote's Indorama chemicals. That story is on page 6. And just beside that, we have Aregbesola saying only technology can address Nigeria's security challenges. And then just beside the Blueprint newspaper, UBA leads as banks spent 12.2 billion naira on travel expenses in 2020. And CBN disburses 1.487 trillion naira agricultural intervention fund. Those stories are on page 23 and page 24 of the Blueprint newspaper, respectively. And going over to the very gaping headline on the newspaper, as speculation thickens over Tinubu's presidential bid, Fayemi says no room for aspirants above 60 years in 2023. 3 riders under that headline. The first one declares Nigerians have suffered enough. Arawa APC group backs power shift to the south. And then the last rider under that headline says, we'll reach the consensus after consultation. That story is on page 6 of the Blueprint newspaper. And just underneath the picture of the day, carry to consumers, be prepared, 120 billion naira fuel subsidy monthly no longer sustainable. And then a rider under that says, we sell at 162 naira per litre and current market price is around 234 naira. And then just under that, we have gunmen kill 29 in Niger, Kaduna communities. And then the next headline, just on COVID-19, 2/3 of Africans want vaccination, and that's according to a survey that was carried out. That story is on page 13. Beside it, demolition, how Oshiomhole gifted 11 government properties to associate. That's coming from the Edo State government. And then the last one, last headline on the Blueprint newspaper, Dangote cements to pay over 97 billion naira in corporate tax for 2020. All of these stories you can find, on the Blueprint newspaper this morning.
So I'm very particular about that particular story that says 2/3 of Africans want vaccination. So
yes.
I'm saying, okay, if that survey was true, if the facts and data was true, then I think it's a
encouraging,
good one for Africans.
Going by the back and
the
forth
back and
that
forth,
has been
the controversies that surround. So it's a story I want to read about.
Exactly.
All right, moving on to the national economy, and we begin from the very top as well. And we see a story being replicated here. New $1.3 billion fertilizer plant ready soon. That's coming from President Muhammad Buhari. And we move over to the very obvious headline that says petrol may soon cost 214 naira per litre as NNPC mulls subsidy withdrawal. And the rider underneath says corporation can no longer bear burden of 120 billion naira monthly spent on subsidy. That story can be found on the national economy. And we go just downward below the picture of the day. The first story there is prices of fairly used cars skyrocket due to border control. That can be found on page 6. And side by side is federal government invest 100 billion naira to resuscitate aviation sector, coming from Sirica, and that can be found on page 5 of the national economy.
Okay, from the national economy, we move over to, the Daily Times newspaper. And the very first headline on the Daily Times newspaper says, Folio Media Training Workshop ends, Monye optimistic of peace in Nigeria. And then moving over, to the very gaping headline that has replicated across, the newspaper that I've read out this morning. It says, petrol price hike looms. And that story is on page 2 of the Daily Times. Underneath the picture of the day right there, we have Anambra elections. Governor Obiano, Senator Uba in Anambra billboards were. And then Palace Watch, why Igbo monarchical system was destroyed by Christian missionaries and colonial masters. And that story is on page 18. If you're interested, in history and all of that, I think you should, look out for that one. And then the last headline on the Daily Times newspaper, on the presidency, Buhari to envoys, collaborate with us to end terrorism and other threats. That story is on page 2 of the Daily Times newspaper.
I will move over to the Leadership newspaper for Friday, which is 26th today, March. And we'll begin from the very first story there. And it says, we've invested enough in security, state reply IGP, the Inspector General of Police in Nigeria, that can be found on page 7 of the Leadership newspaper. And just underneath, we see President Muhammadu Buhari seeks international support to tackle terrorism. Wow. And then we'll move over to the next one. It says, 1 dies, 30 hospitalized as suspected meningitis hit Sokoto school. That story can be found on page 6 of the Leadership newspaper. And just underneath the picture of the day, we see the very obvious headline that says, State Assemblies back drug test for public office holders, student. And the writer says NDLEA 8 as the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency to send operatives to foreign missions. The next one is 126 jailed for drug trafficking in 14 states. All of that story can be found on page 4 of the Leadership newspaper. And then we see another picture just there, and it says petrol may sell for 234 naira per litre, again coming from the NNPC GMD. And we move over to the last headlines for this Leadership newspaper. There are 4 of them. The first one is passengers, workers applaud new security arrangement in airport, can be found on page 9. And how Nigeria can generate 33 trillion naira from livestock, says expert. Emefiele wants rice holders smugglers, and that's coming from page 20 on the Leadership newspaper. The last one is at Dakuku Peter Site's book launch, Zulum 6 power shift to south. That's Governor Zulum 6 power shift to south. And that's what can be found on page 6 of the Leadership newspaper.
Quite interesting headlines on the Leadership newspaper.
Very interesting.
Very interesting headlines. All right, the last daily we're going to be looking at this morning is the Daily Independent. And starting, from the very first headline there, 30 Sokoto schoolgirls hospitalized over uncertain sickness. And just beside it, COVID-19, United Arab Emirates removes rapid antigen test for Nigerian passengers, restricts inbound passengers to 200. And that story is on page 4. And then moving over to the very gaping headline there, outrage as federal government admits paying full subsidy after removal. NNPC says it can't bear 120 billion naira monthly subsidy. Nigerians may pay above 200 naira per litre soon. And then the last rider there says National Assembly to pass petroleum industry bill in April. I think that's coming from the Minister of Petroleum. And then just, beside the picture of the day, electoral malpractice, professor bags 36-month jail term. That's on page 5. Underneath that, federal government tenders $1.3 million cash recovered from ex-Air Force chief as evidence. That story is also on page 5. And then the story on page 29 there says, NNPC records 24.19 billion trading surplus in December to generate $600 million from marginal fields. And then another gaping headline there, why abducted Kaduna students can't be rescued. That's coming from Sheikh Gumi. The last, headline on the Daily Independent newspaper, CSOs reject ex-IGPs, security officers as PSC heads. And then the last one, Lagos Assembly approves Sanwo-Olu's request to purchase 355 vehicles. That story is on page 2 of the Daily Independent newspaper. And before we wrap up this segment, I think I'm more, the headline that caught my attention this morning would be the ones on insecurity, because it was replicated across, I think 3 or 4 of the newspaper headline. And it wasn't just one, it was this on this newspaper they were talking about, it was just on measures, different measures that should be taken, to curb insecurity. So one person said, look, we should start to look towards technology to help, curb the issue of insecurity.
And President Muhammadu Buhari says, looking for international aid,
international aid, and then looking at neighboring countries and say, look, you guys have to help us, to curb the issue of insecurity in Nigeria. So it's impressive.
Yeah,
and
it
it's
is.
like I'm being hopeful to see that, look, it has come to the front burner. We're beginning to look outside, just looking at our military or our security forces to do the work. We're beginning to see that we cannot just solely depend on our security forces to do the work. So we're beginning to look outside. Look, what can we do? What more can we do? Technology, international aid, partnership, and all of that, just come together to see that the issue of insecurity in Nigeria is curbed or brought to the barest minimum. And that gives me, some sort of joy.
Like I always say, this is very important. To me, this is priority because security of lives means security of property, because we have lives to operate the properties. So I think we should keep exploring every option we can till we understand that we have crossed that level of coming every day to talk about one issue of insecurity or the other. So this is impressive, and I am very much hopeful of what turns out, because if we're exploring these different options, it shows that we're ready to move past all these bad news. And a second issue that caught my attention is the issue of the fuel price hike. Federal government saying they're still paying subsidy after the removal, and this has always happened. This is the cause for price hike. This is the cause for panic. This is the cause, just watch now, like it has always happened. It's not like we're prophesying or something. People see this kind of news and start to rush to buy fuel.
Yeah, exactly. So we should be expecting maybe another car price.
It's really sad. It's really sad. Like
hoarding,
hoarding,
and all of this stuff, and then.
Because as it stands, the fuel is still below 200 naira per litre. So now, when people come to see that, look, in almost every newspaper, we're seeing above 200 naira per litre.
So
the next thing is, I think I should buy this fuel in large amount and keep whenever, even if they decide to. So people start to, and this is not really good for Nigeria.
It's not. I just think they should just be transparent with the whole process, because you cannot say, well, we're taking out subsidy, and then you keep paying subsidy, and then we keep seeing that the looming price hike, and it's coming back down.
There's so much back and forth.
The back and forth.
Back and forth. You come today, you say it can never be above 200. That people should not worry. Now again on the newspaper, we're saying federal government saying they are still paying subsidy after the removal and everything.
We're at the back end anyways. We're at the receiving end, and it's going to tell on us eventually. So whatever happens, we get to pay for it. So I think we should just know and be fully abreast of whatever it is that is happening. Let us just know what our fate is. If we're going to be buying at 270, let us know that that's what it is, not taking us back and then bringing us all the way up and all of that stuff. All right, that's so much you can take on the newspaper headline segment for this morning. We're going to go on a break, and when we come back, I will be taking you through what's trending on social media. Welcome back, and it's about that time where I take you through, top of the trend table on social media. What has been trending? What have people been talking about on social media in the last 24 hours? And social media has been buzzing with just one person, Ebuka Obiuchendu. That's the host of, Big Brother Niger, the Big Brother Niger, seasons. And so there's been speculations online that Ebuka might not return as, the Big Brother Niger host for this season, right? And then so there's been back and forth. I know, Ebuka has a fan base. Like, people love to see Ebuka on the show. And then there were speculations that, look, he might not come back for this next one. And people, it wasn't just speculations. People came and started to bash him, and there were speculations that he would come back on the show. So there's been quite a number of reactions, right? I can see you smiling.
you see, one of the things with all those, reality shows that people one of the things I know that is we are really very, very, very comfortable with is brand loyalty in this part of the world.
Exactly.
Because when we see things work and we stay glued,
Yeah.
we now get used to those personalities
Change
doing
the
different things.
problem.
We have actors who we already carved the name, the title of the show on their forehead.
Yeah.
So when we see Ebuka, we see Big Brother. So
yeah.
people are like, how can you even change him? And
Exactly.
some others are like, of course, we can always change because
No,
people
no,
change and
for
everything.
sure.
So
Exactly.
it's just been a hell of a conversation.
Okay, I'm just going to read out a few tweets to that regard. And the first one is from our Captain Danky. And it says, Ike Ogbuna paved way, I think he meant Ike Osiakidua, paved the way for Ebuka when it comes to reality show anchor. But we're not ready for that debate. If you watched Big Brother Africa, then you will know Ebuka can be easily replaced. And then the next one is from Ndo Mbatha. And he made a name for himself. Did Ike take his CV to MultiChoice and sat for an interview on behalf of Ebuka? Ebuka sold himself well to MultiChoice. No one paved the way for him. Ike didn't give Ebuka a platform to sell himself. I think that was in response to the, Captain Danky tweets that I read. And then this one is from Smart Peters. A lot of people, they beef Ebuka on this Big Brother Niger matter for so long. If you don't want him to host the next one, organize your own show and hire whoever you want, I beg. And then this one is, in response to a retweet that said, if you agree Ebuka is the greatest TV personality at the moment, hashtag Big Brother Niger. And somebody says, the greatest, no Ebuka, no TV. And then I think the last one is from brownskin_girl, and it says, I don't mind those clowns. They'll be all right. Sentimental idiots. We love Ebuka. He carried that show on his back and he ain't going nowhere. Haters gonna hate. Potatoes gonna potate. Let them stay pressed. Ebuka is here to stay. Now, first of all, I think I share this sentiment because I love Ebuka. I love his courage on the show. I love how the Nigerianness he brought to the show. He introduced the Nigerian proverbs thing, the agbada thing where you have to wear the Nigerian outfit. And even though Big Brother Niger is Nigerian, but it shows across all African countries. So we get to he gets to sell Nigeria to other parts of Africa and other parts of the world. And it's like, so the comparison for me was when it was Frank Edo who was hosting Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. It was as though if you take Frank off Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, who are you going to put on the show that's going to own it like that, right? It was as though, look, Frank is that show, right? We can't take him off that show like that. So that was how I felt with Ebuka. I was like, Ebuka, Big Brother Niger.
I think the reason for the sentiment of the reason why he's loved as he is like the other person said, was he sold himself. Yeah, he's someone who is very deliberate. He's clean with his fashion. Just even on Big Brother and outside of Big Brother, his social life, you can see this person likes what he does. Yeah. Like he's like a definition of skill, of play,
personality,
of everything
exactly.
in one. So when people see him talk and they're like, oh my God, this is Big Brother, they have already come to love that this person is here to stay. So if you're coming to say, look, this person can change, of course it's supposed to cause this kind of conversation.
But I'm feeling like it's too early. It's too early in the show. I think
we're waiting to hear what he will say.
Yeah, well, it's just speculations, really.
Yeah.
Because it's like, social media, there are always speculations. I don't know what happened. And I think he came out to, say, Nigerian government, you guys need to wake up and blah, blah, blah. And then so they were bashing back and forth. And then speculation started spreading that, look, he's not coming back. And people were like, wait, no. You can't say that. But I do understand, especially the person that says you cannot pin Ebuka to a show, because this person that Ike Osakidua has done it for the longest time possible with reality TV shows in Nigeria. He's gone across all boards. He's done it. And then if he can, just step back, and then Ebuka is doing this at this time, you should know that people can be replaced. You cannot have your face there for the longest time.
And that is the truth.
This is true, right? Yeah. You cannot have your face there for the longest time possible. But another thing again, it's a franchise, right? And I think with franchises, if something is selling for you, just hold on.
Yeah, you hold on. It's business. Yeah,
exactly.
You have to. You're trying to make profit. You're trying to. You have fans, followership base is large. Then you continue.
Because aside from the housemates that people go to see, the constant person that we know on the show is Ebuka, right? So I think it's the first point of call for people. He's the first person we look at before we start to get familiarized with who and us.
He introduces us to the housemates.
So it's like
that
people
connection.
go to watch the live show because Ebuka is hosting. Even the housemate will tell you, I love to watch Ebuka on the show. He's good. So if you're going to change him, not yet. It's too early. We still get we still like to see him on the show.
I think so. I
told you I have sentimental attachment to this one. All right, that's too much. You can take on the What's Trending on social media segment. Don't forget you can be a part of the conversation. Let us know what you think. Drop a comment on our social media. Our pages or handle is TOS TV Network on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. And also, you can check out our website, www.tostvnetwork.com. Also, check out our YouTube channel for an amazing lineup of programs that we have for you, TOS TV Network on YouTube. It's about that time where we go on a break. And then when we come back, we'll be taking you through what Merciful likes to call the crux of the conversation. That's the big story.
You're welcome back to the conversation showing on your digital first Pan-African news network, TOS Television. And it's that time where we bring you the crux of the program, the conversation. And we're going to be talking about the future of cryptocurrency in Nigeria. Nigeria's digital space expressed some worry when the CBN put out a circular asking banks not to entertain accounts, flowing with money from crypto trade. However, the Apex Bank's chief last weekend during a virtual conference not only softened his stance on the commodity, he also endorsed the platform upon which the commodity flies, which is blockchain, as also a major driver of Nigeria's digital economy. With the foregoing today on the program, we'll be looking at the future of blockchain and cryptocurrency in Nigeria as we look forward to a growth of the digital economy. Joining us today in the studio is Obinna Iwonu. You're welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you.
How are you doing?
I'm doing great.
Good. Obinna Iwonu is the founder of a crypto bootcamp, the Crypto Bootcamp, a blockchain and digital currency education-based platform with special focus on educating young people about the fourth industrial revolution, the global digital economy, business, entrepreneurship, and acquisition of needed relevant skills of the present-day ecosystem. He is also the executive secretary of the Stakeholders in Blockchain Technology Association of Nigeria. Now, we'll begin from the very, speculation that, CBN put out a circular advising banks not to entertain, blockchain transactions, cryptocurrency, basically. They said the reason was, to, stop the flow of fraudsters and, their activities across board. What's your reaction to that?
Well, when you say fraudsters, I think that's a bogus claim, right? Because there is no, when you say things like this, it should be backed up with data, right? You should back it up with some evidence that, okay, these are the people that we had in the activities that are using this thing for fraud. But you just make a statement without providing any proof to your claims, right? So that is basically what that statement is. But then, what are the other things that they cited? They said it's being used for fraudulent activities, for money laundering, for funding terrorism. But that is not true, right? Now, for every system, right, there is bad actors, all right? For example, say you are traveling on the Abuja-Kaduna Expressway, all right? And you know of cases of kidnapping on that highway. So are you going to say because there are kidnappers operating on that highway that everybody traveling on that highway is now a kidnapper? You see? So what you need to do is you need to take a look at the system. Now, fraudulent activities, right, from available data on the blockchain using cryptocurrency is less than 2% of the total activity that is being carried out. So you see that the good far more outweighs the bad.
Is your data based on a comparison, between cryptocurrency and the conventional banking transactions, or is your data just based on cryptocurrency? We have 2% of fraudulent activity.
Yes, I am basing this on cryptocurrency alone. Let's not even go to the conventional banking sector.
Because according to what people have said here, from the word cryptocurrency, the word crypt means secret. So if we are saying what the government put out to an extent is not true, is not backed up by data, don't you think anything that's secret, crypt or cryptocurrency, encrypted or anything, is easier for people to carry out their transactions without any sort of monitoring charge? Because that's one
Tracking
of
even.
that's one of the backing factors some people had, that this is actually true to an extent, because people cannot really regulate cryptocurrency, so it's smoother for fraudsters to carry out their activities. What do you have to say about that?
Okay, when you talked about crypt, the simple understanding of this is cryptography, right? What it means is for you and I to interact without any outsider knowing what we are talking about. So it comes to privacy and data protection. So it's not about being secret. I mean, because blockchain is an open ledger, right? When you go on the blockchain, you can see everything that happens. Right? But the design of the cryptocurrency transaction is peer-to-peer, from me to you. So if it is from me to you, then the transaction should remain between me and I. We don't need any third party. All right? But then the transaction that happens between you and I is open for the general public to see. All right? So this is what blockchain has brought. It has brought trust, transparency, and security, which is what the traditional financial institution could not provide. Right? So because you don't have access to the transactions that goes on in your bank. Who moves what? Right? But on the blockchain, it's different. Right? Now, who secures the network? It is you and I who are participators on the network. All right? So that is why it's an open ledger system, right? So it is transparent for all to see. So when you talk about cryptography, it's not about doing some dark transactions. No, it's about keeping the transaction to remain between you and I, peer to peer.
Then where does the bank fit in this equation? Because I like your definition of the word cryptography and peer to peer. Now, the bank was taken out of the equation. Yeah, Gordon Emefiele came out to say, look, he's not banning the transaction of cryptocurrency. He's just safeguarding the banking sector. So people are, agitating that this is not the right approach. But you're saying we do not need the bank really. So does this change anything, taking the bank out of the divide, the equation?
Okay, this is actually a contradiction already, because the bank is included in the system. If not, why is the statement by the CBN governor affecting the industry if the bank was excluded? So it shows you that the bank is a major, in fact, the banks are the major beneficiaries of the cryptocurrency industry, right? Because, look at it, cryptocurrency is not a legal tender, right? It's not replacing the Naira, right? It is just transacting with the Naira. For example, if I want your tie, all right, and you say that, okay, that if I'm going to have your tie, that I have to give you my phone, right? My phone becomes the payment for your tie, all right? So if you say you want my shoe, and I told you, okay, that if you want my shoe, you're going to give me 1 Bitcoin. Bitcoin becomes the exchange for my shoe. Right? So that's what cryptocurrency is. It hasn't come to replace the Naira. So if it has replaced the Naira, then why do we need the banks? Why is the statement by the CBN governor affecting the industry? Because these transactions has to happen through the banks. Right? The banks are already benefiting from the deposits, right? Yes, the deposits and the withdrawals. I mean, these crypto exchanges that has their accounts closed, has been doing business with the bank for long. And all of the money they have been transacting, and the clients, the customers, the users, the buyers, the sellers, are all passing through the bank. So who is now excluding the bank? You see, so that is why the pronouncement by the CBN is not in tune with recent developments in the industry. Give you an example. Last year, September last year, right, the SEC came out and said that cryptocurrency, they are classifying cryptocurrency as security and digital assets, right? Good, that was fantastic, right? Then November last year, NIDA, which is a National Information Technology Development Agency, said they wanted to develop a blockchain adoption strategy, and they called us as stakeholders and several other stakeholders in the industry to help the Nigerian government design a national framework for blockchain adoption. The Nigerian government wants to generate $10 billion. That is to show you that this industry is already adding value to the economy, to the nation at large.
Okay, talking about adding value to the nation at large, you know what the country is looking towards digitalizing our economy, right? Looking towards a digital economy. So how can we further use Bitcoin or cryptocurrency and blockchain to help digitalize Nigeria's economy? How can that be harnessed?
There is a lot we can do with blockchain. All right, let me give you an example. Do you know Nigeria does not have a comprehensive database, right? Blockchain can solve the problem of legal identity. A country like Estonia is using it already and has been using it for over a decade, right? So now, over 2.4 billion people in the world do not have any form of legal identity. So they are not represented anywhere. And because of this lack of legal identity, they cannot have access to certain services that they need, right? Because there is no identity, there is no record. Give you an example. I was born in a hospital that, like 10 years after I was born, the hospital got burnt. So every record in that hospital got burnt, right? Imagine if all those records were on the blockchain. Imagine if they were on the blockchain. Give you another example. Do you know that we could solve justice issues with blockchain?
How so?
Why?
Before you answer that, can you demystify the concept of blockchain? Is it
I
like a
was going
database?
to
Or
get
Yes,
to that.
the blockchain is a database, but a database that cannot be, it cannot be, you can't delete it, you can't alter it, you can only add to it.
So if you make a mistake?
If you make a mistake, you just have to correct the mistake in the next block.
Wow. Okay.
Right?
So it's forever stored.
It's forever stored. It's transparent. So everything there is there. You cannot take anything away. You can only add to it. Do you understand? So that's what a blockchain is. Come to what I was trying to tell you about justice. Most of the reasons why people don't get justice is not because of a corrupt justice system, but because of lack of legal representation. Do you know that with blockchain, we can actually build a smart contract that makes these things easy? Some people don't even have that money to access legal representation because it's expensive. Why? Because during the course of all of these litigations, costs are incurred, right? But if it's on a blockchain built with a smart contract, we do not need to move from A to B. We do not need to sit in a court. All that happens is the complainants make their complaints, right? The smart contract contacts the defendants. They tender their evidences. Everything is happening on the blockchain. The jury is seeing it. The judge is seeing it. A lawyer is matched to the case. And at the end of the day, a decision will be made on the case, just on the blockchain, without anybody having to go anywhere.
Has this ever been done?
Yes. It's already been practiced.
Where?
In advanced countries, really.
Okay.
You can access lawyers online right now on the blockchain, really.
So what does this speak in terms of the judicial aspect? What does this speak for, lawyers and the conventional, judgment
How does it benefit
system?
every party involved?
It means more efficiency for them, right? It means more efficiency. It means more delivery. Because now, all of these times that it takes, you adjourn for 3 months and all of that, you don't need all of that. Several cases can be going on at the same time. Without having to stall that we need to hear this one's case, and then you need to hear this one's case, and then you adjourn this. No, everybody is independently working. And then all of the records are there on the blockchain. It's not been altered. Do you know that with blockchain, we can change the voting system? Right? We wouldn't have all of this chaos and aftermaths of unpleasant election results where people say, oh, okay, this election was rigged and all that. Because if the election is conducted on the blockchain, voting is in real time. You don't need to collate ballots. You don't need to carry it to any counting center. No. As the voting is going on, you are seeing it. Immediately the voting is concluded, the result is displayed and everybody goes home.
So, but where do you think we are as a country, in understanding, like really understanding the importance and the efficiency of the blockchain?
As a country, I think that first of all, we need to start from the basics, which is education and awareness. And that is what other countries are doing, right? Now, countries are putting up systems on the blockchain. They are building their infrastructures on the blockchain, not just countries, but organizations, right? Because of now, why is the blockchain so important? Blockchain is Web 3.0, the third generation internet. And this third generation internet is the internet for transmission of value. The other internet which we had, the second generation internet, where Facebook, Amazon, and the rest of them were built on, was for transmitting information. It wasn't enough. Right? So if we can transmit information on the internet, then why can't we transmit value on the internet? And that is what blockchain is. Right? So you see, it is the value transmission era. And this is where the world is at right now. We are running a global digital economy. And for you to partake of a digital economy, you must have a digital skill. You would have a digital product or service. You would have a digital platform. You must have one of these things to be able to partake of the digital economy. Right? So as a nation, I'll give you an example. In the crypto industry, this is just a 12-year-old industry because the first Bitcoin block was mined in January 3rd, 2009. And that's the coming of that's like the implementation of the blockchain technology, right? So now in these 12 years, what has happened? There is so many developments that has gone on in the crypto and the blockchain industry. And this has now given rise to requirements of human resource who are skilled in several areas. Do you know how many young people in Nigeria are working for global organizations? They just released the unemployment data, 43 million, right? I would say that the crypto industry has taken away at least 1 million from that. That should have been added to that data. Young people who are working as copywriters, content marketers, software developers, graphic designers, visual office assistants, name it.
Remotely?
You know, yes, remotely. Community managers, you know, PR, customer service. They are all working for global organizations. So imagine the payments that come into this country through those activities. Then you shut down the industry. Yes, you are cutting off a part of the economy.
Okay, that brings me to the issue of education. I know, like when we were having a conversation earlier before the cameras came on, you did say that's talking about cryptocurrency. You did say that you cannot actually operate crypto if you don't know what it is. You have to be actually skilled and educated. And I know that, like me, there are lots of Nigerians who don't know so much, about the cryptocurrency, about the blockchain. So can you just, give us a little bit of background, some sort of education, like in 2 minutes, some sort of education on, what cryptocurrency is.
Okay. Why I say that is because so many people out there, because the awareness is not yet so wide in Nigeria. But even Nigeria itself as a country is a global player already. This is the data. Nigeria scored first on crypto adoption globally.
Yes.
We have more Nigerians who had owned or used cryptocurrency than any other part of the world. One. Then when you come to trade volume, Nigeria was number 3 globally. So that has already positioned us as a global giant when it comes to the crypto industry. This is what we should be looking at harnessing now. So how can we harness this properly? Because when we are looking at what brought us these figures, it's not even up to 1% of Nigeria's population. So imagine what would happen if 20% of Nigerian population is aware and participating, right? So we have to start from the basics. People need to understand this thing. They hear Bitcoin, cryptocurrency. It's not a money doubling scheme. All right, it's not a gamble, it's not a Ponzi, it's not a speculation. These things are technologies. There are things that moves the market, right? There is a reason why it gains value, and there's a reason why it goes up and down. The law of the forces of demand and supply also affects it, just like it happens in the traditional market. You know, so these are commodities. All right, they are real commodities. Okay, so it's not just people ask some question, if I put 20,000 today, how much will I get in 1 month? That's crazy, because they have this mindset of, you know, you just put the money and the money is magic multiplying itself. Okay, even if you want to buy into a particular coin, why do you want to buy into it?
Investment?
Okay, investment. Why should you do these particular investments? You see, these things are value chains. For each cryptocurrency you see, it is tied to a project that is providing value. So as long as that project keeps providing value, it will keep rising.
So, but what does the risk involve? How risky is it, you know, to invest or, you know, join the cryptocurrency, you know, bandwagon?
Because the end users, we've worked with platforms that we see the graphs, we see the rising and falling. People are like, what if? Because it's not certain.
And then there's been speculations that, you know, you did say that this is the Web3, you know,
Web 3.0,
Web 3.0, you know, stuff like that. So it means we might actually have a Web 4.0. So what's the future of this, really?
Well, but we need to actually utilize Web 3.0 and exhaust it before we go to Web 4.
Because I was talking to somebody yesterday, and he did say that people are saying, look, we cannot buy into cryptocurrency because it might just drop. Like, it has been rising for so long that it might start coming all the way back
It's just
down.
the same with your stock market. You know, every day the stock market gives you reports. Who made gains, who made losses, what stocks rose, what stocks fell. It's just the same with the crypto market. It's a market, right? So it will rise, it will fall. Some will come and overtake others. Some will just, you see, a new project can come out today and we beat the project that has been existing, and everybody will buy into it, and it will rise.
Let's talk about blockchain, because that was a very, very interesting one. You know, you gave insightful, you know, definitions of what it's about. Now, blockchain as it is, because people will definitely have these questions. Are they like gatekeepers, people who are in the business of, you know, interpreting what the figures are to people, the end users, or how does it work? Because people have to work, there should be like maybe an engine room where the things are being, you know, mined, or information is being garnered or gathered, or who are the people that are operating it? Are they humans, or is it artificial intelligence?
Okay, these things are being operated by computers, but of course they are called nodes, right? But these computers are also manned by humans. All right, so everything is it's a programming, it is software, right? So it has been built to work in a certain way, right? So measures that has been put to make sure that this is safe and secured and transparent, all right, is the operation, the participation of the nodes. That is why blockchain does not have a central database. What it means is this: you cannot hack a blockchain system.
You can't?
You can't.
It's not possible.
It's not possible. It is only possible if you can successfully perform a 51% attack. And what this 51% attack means is that you have to attack 51% of the network at the same time. So how does it work? If you become a node operator on a blockchain, it means all of the database of the blockchain 100% is with you. If she becomes a node, 100% is with her. If I become a node, 100% is with me. So if you get deleted as a node or hacked as a node, she has not been hacked. I have not been hacked. So the person cannot even make any alteration or change. For you to make any alteration or change on a blockchain, you have to control 51% of the network. You see, so for each blockchain that you see, there are thousands of nodes scattered all over the world who are operating this system. helping to keep it safe. Like for example, in Bitcoin, we call them miners. They are the ones who keep, who verify the transactions, you know, and they keep them safe. So you have over 10,000 Bitcoin miners, over 10,000 nodes across the world. So who exactly are you going to hack?
Yeah, because the question is, if we're going to rely on blockchain tech for, you know, judicial activities, you know, for lawyers and everything, the question will now be, can we definitely trust this platform to deliver 100% efficiency in terms of the result, the data? Because if we're changing from one process to another, we must trust that this will give us what we want. But now, there's a likelihood that it can get hacked. You just confirmed that it's 51%, though you feel it is impossible.
It's impossible.
But that 51% means it is possible.
Yes.
If you understand what I'm saying.
But it's impossible to achieve.
So you're saying 100% we can leverage, Nigeria as a country can leverage on blockchain technology without having any sort of hack, without having any sort of, you know, dark web or anything?
At all. Cryptocurrency has given us proof, right? And it's further being developed. Give you an example. As of January last year, there was no such thing as DeFi. DeFi means decentralized finance, right? But today, DeFi is it's a big industry in the blockchain, right? Now, what is DeFi? It's just offering you the same traditional financial services that the banks makes difficult for you. Insurance, loans, liquidity, and all of that. That's what it is. Now, there is what we call NFT, right? Non-fungible tokens. What it means is that you can now put up your work, you can now convert anything into art, you know, digitize it and put it on a blockchain and sell it. Give you, Jack Dorsey, the CEO of Twitter, just sold his first tweet as an NFT for $2.9 million.
Oh, amazing.
I was going to I had so many questions. I think it's a topic for another day.
So you see, what has this thing done? Look at traditional artists, painters, right? Who you paint and then you want to get your art out there, then you come up with the challenge of you need to
auction it, exhibit,
exhibition. You need to do an art exhibition and you cannot fund it, or you need to go to a famous gallery where it will be seen and they will charge you so much.
They may not even buy it.
All they have to do is just digitize it and put it on the blockchain as an NFT.
Wow.
And you might see somebody in the US who will price it $60 million, you know, because they have more value for art. But it's showing you the value chain, you know. It's showing you that this thing is creating value and solving problems and making life easier for people, right?
I think we have the only last question I have, and it's a very direct question.
We have to actually wrap up now. We're out of time. We're going to continue this conversation after the show, but we really did overshoot. Quite an insightful conversation.
Very, very insightful.
I think we wouldn't stop if you keep talking. Looks like you have so much to say. You know so much about what you're talking about. Sure. All right, thank you guys. Thank you, Mr. Obinna, for coming on the show. Thank you so much. And thank you guys for joining us on the conversation this morning. But do not forget, you can also be a part of the conversation. Just follow TOS TV Network on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And also check out our YouTube channel. It's TOS TV Network on YouTube. Also, check out our website at www.tostvnetwork.com. I am Adesua. I'll see you.
And I am Merciful Ajinimo. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day.